Hey guys, how are you guys doing? Compliments of the season. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Ifoma. I'm a fashion designer and a pattern dressmaker. So guys, today's tutorial, you already know what it's going to be about. So we're going to be making this dress, and if this sounds like something you want to learn, please stay tuned till the end of this video. Anyways, I come bearing good news. Registration for our online class has started. If this sounds like something you're interested in, the link to my Instagram page is going to be in the description box below. I'm going to be dropping all the infos and details there, so stay tuned. Click on the dumbbell so you get notified when I post a new video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment down below so I know your thoughts and suggestions. Let's jump right into this tutorial. Here's some of the things we're going to be using for this tutorial. We have our breast cup, we have our needle, we have this beaded fabric, boning, scissors. Our main fabric of choice today is going to be this Mikado silk. Further info is going to be in the description box below. You need to check that out. So because we're going to be working with a ready-made breast cup, we're going to be incorporating whatever measurement we have on the breast cup into our pattern piece. So you're going to take the measurement of your breast cup and transfer that measurement into your pattern piece, and you should have something that looks like this. Another thing you need to take note of is sizing up, going one size up. So let's say you're a size 34, you need to size up to size 36, and if you're a size 36, you need to size up to size 38. Over there, you could also see we have our boning channels all in place. We're moving forward to transfer our waist dart, and this is just how simple it is to transfer your front waist dart to the side. So we're going to go forward to the back piece, and I'm marking out 1.5 inches. This is just to have extra snatch to the waist, because this is a corset. This is something you do to avoid that space you see at the back when you snatch your corset. So 1.5 plus 1.5, which is going to give us 3 inches. 3 inches gone. You can even go as far as taking 2 inches off, depending on how snatch and how comfortable the person will be when you snatch the back of the corset. For the purpose of this tutorial, I went over with my marker pen just to trace out all the details we've done earlier. On the waist dart, we're going to be marking out 0.5 cm on both sides, and with the help of our French curve, we're going to be connecting that. This is just to help us with, extra snatch and grip. So because this dress is going to have sleeves, we're going to be taking the measurement of both the front and the back armhole. And basically, once you take this measurement, obviously you just need to write it down so you do not forget. Moving forward, we're going to cut off our pattern piece, and this is what we are left with. Moving forward to our lower pattern piece, we're going to be labeling the CF, CB sides, and going over with my scissors just to cut this out. You want to place your fabric on fold and your pattern piece 6 to 10 inches away from the edge of the fabric. So this is the front piece, and anything above that 6 to 10 inches is going to restrict your movement while walking. If you want to go above the 10 inches, just know that it's just mostly going to be for shoots. For the sewing allowance, we're going to be having 1 inch for the sides, and for the top part, half of an inch, and we're just going to be marking this with our chalk. The space between the folded part of our fabric to our pattern piece is 18 inches. And with the help of our ruler, we're going to be connecting that from the intersection up to the bottom hemline. This is one of the simplest methods of cutting out your mermaid skirt or dress without having panels at the front pattern. Moving over to the back piece, folded the fabric in such a way that we have space on both sides. You know how we said 6 to 10 inches from the fabric edge? For the back piece, that rule does not apply. You can go above that because the back can be longer than the front, obviously. And I'm just going over with my ruler just to mark up my lines, checking in my measurements. Remember, we have 18 inches from the first measurement for the sides. We're going to be incorporating that with our back piece also, just for the back piece side. The allowance for the zip and the side is 1 inch, and I mark my intersection over there. After cutting all of this, you're just going to fold this and keep at side. It's time for us to cut the train. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up by about 10 inches. You can go up more than that, but I'm just going to go up by 10 inches and connect that like so. What I later did was place my back piece, the zip side, to the part we want to cut out, and just cut out this triangular shape. So when you open this up, it should look like a cone. This is the shape it should be given. We're moving forward to cut our upper part of the corset. Cutting off the darts. So because our corset is going to be an inseam lining corset, we're not going to be slashing this pattern just yet. We're going to be cutting this on our main fabric first, like this, and once we're done cutting this, we're going to proceed to slash and then cut on the lining. After cutting and tracing our sewing allowance, this is what we're left with. I'm going to be ironing the S-day to our Mikado silk fabric. And once that is done, it should look something like this. We're going to be cutting our lining. Firstly, we start off by slashing open our pattern piece. For the lining, the side seam allowance is going to be 0.75 because the boning width we're working with is 0.5 inches. And as you know, this is an inseam corset we're making, so stay tuned, you get what I'm saying. Then for the top and for the bottom is 0.5 inches allowance. So for those who doesn't understand what an inseam corset is just creating boning channels between the side seams. After pinning and stitching our front piece bodice, this is what it looks like. Now it's time for us to do the same for our lining. Keep this aside and move over to the lower part of the dress. And as you can see, we've already cut out our lining as well. Here we have this stay we've cut out 2 inches width and about 10 to 12 inches length, depending on how your zip length is. And basically we're going to be using this to avoid, you know, that kind of snake and ladder kind of zip when you make your zip and then your zip is coily at the bottom. When you try this method, I promise you your zip is going to stay in place. And we're going to be ironing that stay to the fabric like this. You can see we'll iron this on both sides where we're going to be having our zip joining. Proceed to mark the length of my zip. Leaving out the place we're going to be joining our zip, I sewed all the way, stopping halfway at this point. We'll get back to that later. I'm just going over now to do my dart, and I'll be inserting my zip after sewing my darts. Done with all of that, it should look something like this. And now I'm moving forward to join my front piece to my back piece. So I'm just going to be sewing at my sewing allowance of 1 inch. Next up is to attach the train to the back of the dress. So I'm going to start off by trimming off this sharp tip. So I don't want this to be a pointy V shape. And when I do that, this is what it looks like. I'm going to go over now to pin this down. After pinning this, we're going to be sewing from top to bottom on one side. Moving to the other side, you're going to sew this down, and you want to take note of the way I place this. Once all of that is done, we're going to proceed to the corset. So we're going to be stitching the lining. Remember, we left 0.75 inches allowance, so we're going to be stitching all of that down. You want to make sure your seams are pressed open, and then we're going to be stitching on our seam. The whole idea is to stitch on the seam allowance in such a way that it's going to accommodate the boning. So you've gotten to this part of this tutorial and you're not yet subscribed. Why? Please tell me why. Subscription is free. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It will mean a lot to me. Don't forget to leave a comment down below so I know your thoughts and suggestions. Like this video and share with your loved ones that you feel might need this video or this tutorial. Thank you. For the center front, we're not going to be doing the inseam method. We're just going to be using these bias to sew this down and insert our boning. Once you're done with this, you just might have to give this a good steam press to tackle with the wrinkles. Anyway, we're going over with our sellotape to just tape this like this. The video is self-explanatory, but one thing I want to say is I usually use paper tape, but as at this moment of creating this video, my paper tape was exhausted, so I had to improvise to use this sellotape. And I would recommend you use paper tape because the sellotape can be a bit difficult to work with. Don't forget to size up, like I said initially, when you are doing this. So if you're a size 32, you go for 34. If you are a 34, you can go for bust 36 size of cup. And I'm going to be doing this horizontally and vertically when sellotaping this. So you can start off vertically, then the second layer will be horizontally or you go horizontally and then the second layer will be vertically, just like in the video. Once you're done with that, you should have something that looks like this, and I'm going over with my scissors just to trim off the excess tape. So you're going to trim this to the size of this cup or the cup you're working with. Proceeding to mark out the cutout of the breast cup. Label your piece, and once you're done labeling this, you can just take out the tape carefully from the breast cup. You should have something that looks like this. I'm going to cut this out, and once I'm done cutting it out, I'm going to lay them on a fresh piece of pattern paper. Ensure that you label your pattern piece to avoid confusion. Label your pattern piece, guys. So once you're done with this, you're going to cut this on your fabric and also on your lining. You could proceed to iron stay on your lining. So this is what it looks like. Okay, look at this. It's already coming in place. As you can see, we have our hemming gum there. So we're going to be using the hemming gum to attach the fabric to the breast cup. The cup already looks so yummy. You can see we left half of an inch at the top over there, and I'm going to proceed to join this. Don't forget to leave that half of an inch at the top over there. So I'm going to be joining this. If you notice, these particular cups, they come with sewing seam allowance, so that those sewing seam allowance are not so thick like the actual breast cup. So you could sew on the sewing seam allowance of the breast cup, which is totally fine. And you guys, look at this. It's already coming to life. It looks so yummy. Now it's time to insert our boning into our lining. For the top part where we're going to have the sleeve connected to, we're going to cut it out with the lining and both for the main fabric. This is what it looks like. You're going to give this a good press, you know. And once you're done with that, you're going to be joining this to the outfit, and this is how you're going to be joining this. So now tell me, what is a corset without a loophole? Like, tell me, yeah, you know, I'm going to be inserting the loophole to this other side of the dress, and I'm going to cut out 2.5 inches of, you know, just all these small tubes we've made. I feel like my OGs already know this part because I've done this a couple of times on my channel, but to my newbies, you're going to leave half of an inch at the top. That will be your allowance, and then proceed to 1 inch of each of the loops. So the distance between each loop is 1 inch. Now it's time to join our lining to our main fabric. We're going to be placing this right side facing each other and stitching down, leaving up that armhole. There's this V-shaped armhole part that will be where we're going to be joining our sleeve, so we don't need to stitch that up. So my client wanted short sleeve. She's not a fan of long sleeve, so I drafted my sleeve pattern over here, and we're just going to sew that. Next up, I'm joining our lining to our fabric just to have this clean finishing at the zip. Repeat on both sides and you should have something that looks like this. Repeating the same method we did on the actual fabric on the lining as well. As you can see, we also have the train attached. We're going to be joining the corset to the bottom of the dress. Using the soldering iron, I'm basically going to take off the details from this fabric. You want to also take your time out to weave your fabric. After pinning, you're going over with your needle and thread and hand stitch each of these details down. And here's what it looks like. Oh my client, oh my goodness, she looks so good. Hope you're able to learn one or two things. We've come to the end of this tutorial. I'm going to see you in my next video.